Go Bucs. Go Bucs. Go Bucs. Go Bucs. Go Bucs. First and goal, we gotta tough it out. Get in the end zone and call a hot route. O-line a beast, right down the street. And have Humphries run right underneath. You know it's Bucs ball, we got the hardest D. Bring the pressure to the QB. You know it's routine, we got hard greens. Welcome to Tampa, welcome to Turbo. Go Bucs. Go Bucs. Reppin' for my team. Go Bucs. Go Bucs. You know we want the ring. Go Bucs. Go Bucs. Welcome to the Bay. Go Bucs. Go Bucs. Tune in with Buccaneer Blake. Bucs back, we can run and toss. Mike Evans looking like Randy Moss. And Jameis make the play after play. On the defense, you can't stop Levante. On my boy McCoy, who you can't avoid. At the Raymond James, you about to feel the pain. If you a Bucs fan, make a lot of noise. If you a Bucs fan, make a lot of noise. Go Bucs.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to BUCnBLAKE Sports with your host, Mr. BLAKE, doing the first live stream coming out of the corner of bucsreport.com. My first broadcast representing bucsreport.com. You can check out all sports news on NFL and everything at www.bucsreport.com. Check out major articles by myself and other affiliates that I am with, and check out and get every on the news. And as well, you can always go to my corner if you want to talk with me personally. You can get me there, or you can get me on my website at www.bucnblakesports.com. And I am there, and of course most of my all social media stuff, BUCnBLAKE at Twitter, BUCnBLAKE Sports on IG, and BUCnBLAKE Sports on Snapchat. As always, go if you want to contribute to Jameis Winston's Dream Forever Foundation. Help underprivileged youth get connections with technology and things like that they cannot access at home because of the environment or wherever they live in. And whatever you can do helps, whether it's time or it's money, or contribute to other things like that, especially around this back to school time out here in Tampa, giving away the book bags to kids and stuff like that. So you know, it's good to get involved in the community any way you can. You know, a lot of people think you're going out of the way to do stuff like that. I mean, it's too much. It's really not. You can do very little and do a whole lot for somebody. It doesn't really take too much. But let's get into everything. Aaron, welcome back, man. You having fun with this? As always, Aaron, if you got stuff you want to talk about, AB, you put stuff in there and I'll get to it. Same thing with you, Dan. Just type it in there and I'll scroll up and I'll get to you at the end. All right, so let's start with the top. Jameis Winston removed from Raymond James Stadium again. I think it's riders and stuff like that trying to get turmoil roll around with the fans and stuff like that to keep this going as long as they can get clickbait and stuff like that. So I think that'll be going on. But in my personal opinion, I think the removal of that is because when you are suspended, you are not allowed to report to the facility to practice with the team, or like you were gone from the team for 3 weeks, unless that's changed or I'm incorrect. Somebody can please correct me, but if I'm understand that correctly, you were away from the facility for the time you were suspended until you can return. And I believe that has something to do with why it was taken down from the side of the stadium. I don't know how people feel about that. Go Broncos. Hey man, root for your team, man. Go ahead and post some stuff in there if you want to talk about later on. I'm gonna get to it at the end. And that's what I think it is with suspension and stuff like that. And like I said, the incident, I really don't think is I don't think it's worse than what it is. Like I said, it was a 2-year-old incident, and I really think he's moved forward since then. Again, like I said, if this was 2018 and he did that, I would not be saying anything defending him. Like I say, he's a young man learning things as it go, and I don't think it has anything to do with white and black and stuff like that. It's just somebody make a mistake and just making poor judgment, whether it's alcohol or being around certain people. We've all done that. So, you know, you have to just put the totality in situations. Hayes and Mara, I said, you have to put the totality on things and understand that you can't put stipulations and stuff on other people and life situations and understanding just because you gave somebody a couple $1 million. The fact that you hand somebody millions of dollars doesn't make him wiser. I mean, there's plenty of people that have money that don't know much or are very uneducated or don't want to change the ways, that doesn't make them smarter or any more intelligent because they have money. The only way you learn things is through experience and the people that you have in your corner. So, be that as it may, let's move out on that. Move next topic. Kendall Beckwith still injured from the car accident. And and it's sad that stuff like that. That's why I talk about drunk driving and stuff like that. And I've watched it all the time, being around the club, seeing people just get in the cars, piss poor, drunk, knowing they can't drive and put other people at risk, killing people's babies, husbands, mothers, anybody. And it happens every single day. And, some people can see it, and some people are really good friends, and they won't let their friends drive, or they'll park their car at their house and stuff like that, Uber them home. There's really no reason to put other people at risk with all the resources now that you cannot be drunk driving and stuff like that. It's sad, and I'm not for sure if that was the case that happened with Kendall Beckwith. Hell, even in my incidents, I'm not injured now, or I was in a car accident, a couple of months back around February. A guy ran the light, texting on his phone, hit me head on, and totaled out my car. So now I have a new vehicle. Now I don't have an SUV. So just saying, it can happen at any given time. You don't know. It doesn't have to be, always drunk driving or things like that. It could just happen randomly through the course of your life. A sad situation, but true. And I wish him a speedy recovery. I think he is on the active list as of right now, so he counts towards the 91 roster count, I think, as of right now, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, the ride, a first Cadillac, so, get a lot of compliments on it. I'm still trying to get used to it. Not driving an SUV, and now I'm sitting down low in a car, so, it's something I got to get used to. But he is on the active roster list, so he counts towards the active roster as of right now. He's not on the PUP list, the physically unable to perform list, so he is counting towards the active roster. So his spot counts. Next one, Julio Jones not reporting to camp, demands contract restructure. I read a lot of comments from Falcon fans and Ever fans, period. Julio Jones got a modest contract prior for his performances, and that was with a lot of his injuries and stuff like that. I believe, if I'm not wrong, it's $45 million guaranteed that he got. Then he's getting paid $10.5 million a year in a contract. I don't know why that's not enough money for him, or why he wants to restructure, because you saw Mike Evans, I guess, and everybody else get contracts. Sometimes contracts are just given out, being the situation, and salary cap being increased over TV deals and stuff like that, and it just depends on the timing of when you got your contract. Speaking, like, Ty Gurley just got his contract and extension for a year, about, I think, 60 or 70. It's about $60 million. I've been an advocate for Aaron Donald to get a contract extension. If you're going to give $14 million for 1 year to Ndamukong Suh out there, and then you basically crap on him for his above average play over his course of the time in the NFL. And I didn't think it was fair that happened, but unfortunately it's not up to me, because I'm here talking to you guys, and they make the decisions over there with the organization and stuff like that. You can talk about your team. Yeah, you can. You can talk about your team. NFL pays for taxis. Yes, they do have a service for that, Dan. They have that, but it's also Uber's now, and NFL does offer service. I'm sure they have, partnerships and stuff like that for concessions to help out other players when they get in these situations and stuff like that. Aaron Rodgers going to get a new deal. They don't really have big contracts out there getting rid of Jordy Nelson, and Randall Cobb should be coming up near the end of his contract, so that should be interesting. So with that saying, the fans say, I've heard people say trade Djax and Chris Godwin for Julio Jones. I would never do that, especially it's a division opponent, and I would personally not do stuff like that to trade him in our division and hurt us in the long run, especially with a young player like Chris Godwin that could come up later on and do some things for us. down the line, put the injury and, players moving on. So Djax for Julio Jones. Again, I don't really like trades within the division. I think Julio Jones could do something for us, as well as Deshaun Jackson could do stuff for us. But if we, put these players in the right position to make plays, so I think they could contribute. Either one could contribute, and just one cost less. Well, Deshaun Jackson actually might get cost. I think he actually costs the same as Julio Jones is right now, because most of Julio Jones was given out in that guaranteed contract. They guaranteed the $45 million. So, is Adam Humphries trade bait, and for who? Adam Humphries, I don't think will be with us after this season or next season, whenever he becomes a free agent. I think it's next season when he becomes a free agent, 2019. Teams like the Dallas Cowboys need a player like him, but I think they still got somebody in Cole Beasley. And the Cowboys are still kind of hurting at the wide receiver position. They're moving on from Dez Bryant and the issues with Terrence Williams and stuff like that, and trading away Ryan Switzer to the Oakland Raiders. So it's interesting to see what's going to go on, if we decide to trade Humphries and get something for him, instead of losing him to free agency, with being the fact that somebody may be hurting at wide receiver sometime in the season between now and week 7. Or is it week 8? Lost train of thought here for a second. Yeah, Adam Humphries pretty much capped out his max potential with 60. I believe it was 67 receptions with like 638 yards receiving. I'm sure if it's not correct. If I am, I'm the man going off straight, thinking about it at this present moment. But I think it is. But I think it's about 67 receptions with about 638 yards receiving or something like that. And I think that's the max you're going to get out of him. I think you're going to get very much. Humphrey's going to make some splash plays here or there, but, you can't really, put your bread and butter on him when the game's on the line, being, just how he is. And we really don't run that kind of offense for him to excel like that. I think his type of play would excel in a place like New England, with short underneath routes and, little 5 route passes turn into 7 and 8 with, just getting open and making plays. I think he could really excel. In New England, and the Bucs fans are going to be hurting them, kicking themselves in the behind again, for letting another player go somewhere else and succeed, because we're not putting players or creating some type of offense to make other players succeed. And it's not just the Bucs; other teams do it as well. Like I said, it's too many politics when you're talking about sports. People got to be put in places to succeed and get the maximum potential out of players. That's why drafting players are very important. When you have plans for them. And I know a lot of people didn't like the Vita Vea pick, but you have to understand, you run a 4-3 defense. The 4-3 defense is made to help the defensive ends get sacks and help the linebackers stay free to make tackles in the backfield. Now, if your defensive line is weak, then it totally negates the whole defense, because the most important part is the defensive line in that formation, because you have 4 down linemen on the line. You have 3 linebackers, 2 corners, and 2 safeties. Derwin James, I just don't think would have made an immediate impact. It was at a position of need, but in that type of defense, that type of player wouldn't have impacted that as much as it would have on the defensive line. And it also gives, some reassurance that if Gerald McCoy goes down, we actually have somebody else that could step in along with the other backups that we have. So having depth really, really helps longevity of the team. Jason Licht gives out a shout out to Kolton Smith at Durant Highschool, football player that was in an auto accident and became paralyzed. I think stuff like that is cool. When people give shout out, like I said, all these other social media sites and all these TMZ and stuff like that, everybody wants to make their money coming off of negativity and stuff, and we feed right into it, and we buy into it, and we click on it, and we read it and fall in there. What up, Steve? My boy Steve, and Kim, of course. I think we buy into a lot of the negativity and stuff like that. So when you see stuff like this, Jason Licht taking 35 seconds to 40 seconds out of his time to give some young man words of encouragement and stuff like that. So I think that's kind of cool. Got to do little things like that to impact somebody's life, which I just said earlier, that really doesn't take much to help somebody in the world. It just takes one person to help one person each and every day. And if everybody did that, we would account for everybody, in this country and in this world and stuff like that. Steve, man, hit me up, text me to see what's going on with you. Um, and that's pretty much all it's got to do. And I'm glad. What's going on, Armando? And that's pretty much all you got to do to help people out in situations like that. What you got down here for me, Dan? Eagles got the blueprint for having good defense rotation and lots of good rotational players. Bucs learning fast. We need to learn fast. We need to do our own thing and build your own identity. And stop trying to make one move account for totality of everything. Football is the ultimate team sport, and you got to have areas of success all over and just not bank on one thing. Because, for instance, the Philadelphia Eagles lost your quarterback, and everybody else compensated and helped Nick Foles succeed to win a Super Bowl in Philadelphia. So it goes to show you that, one player just doesn't win a Super Bowl, but, even if it is a superstar, it does help, but it takes the other 10 guys to help everybody else and to help the team succeed. And that's the way it works. And, basketball, I think basketball shines on, a negative light. It only takes a couple players to win a championship and stuff like that. And alliances now being built in the NBA, and I just think it's a bad taste for basketball. But I'm glad football doesn't really work out in that kind of perspective, given injuries and calling the right plays in the situations and stuff like that. And it's more of a gratifying feeling watching somebody or some team or organization building up, making the right moves, to have longevity of wins and success. What's going on, Drez? Success. Reminds me of Tom Brady. What'd you say, Dan? Daniel Fall out of Clearwater. Reminds me of Tom Brady, Drew Bledsoe before Folk and Wentz. Yeah, you had a success system built up, and the benefits of you making the right selections turned out to a longevity of success. And I think not just the Bucs, all teams need to just think of it that way and stop thinking of short-term answers. And you'll have more success. Everybody wants to, say, oh, what's the recipe for winning? There really isn't one recipe for winning. It's success, man. It's getting people to buy in, your coaches buying in, your GM making the right choices, your owners letting people flourish, and not letting politics get too involved with everything. And it's, like I said, that's the thing about football, man. It's the ultimate team sport that I could think of. So, Anthony Torres is in the building. Nuke boy. Steve, I mean, you can give some point. Like, I couldn't imagine, being in the city and losing my team. You're a Charger fan. You live in the city of San Diego, and you lost your team. So, I mean, who do you root for now? Do you root for the LA Rams now? I'm really curious. Longevity in a city would be nice. Chargers. Like I said, I don't know what would happen like that if you pull a team out of a city, and who do you root for like that? And teams, bring revenue to other businesses in your city and stuff like that, because brings people from all over to come see the event, and you have concerts and stuff there and stuff like that, which I'm sure they have other places where they can do something like that, but it's just, man, I just couldn't imagine something like that, and you being a season ticket holder there and being a huge Charger supporter and stuff like that. So kind of sucks. I really don't have much else unless you guys got anything else you would like to discuss. Everybody that's here, make sure I go through and make sure I got everybody's comments on here. Got to update. Julio Jones will not report, and he is serious about it. Okay. Steve Ford didn't watch an NFL game until the Super Bowl last year. I was so sick to my stomach. I can't. Steve Ford out of San Diego, California. Yeah, I can understand. Man, I can totally understand. Ashley Adams, welcome to the show. If you got anything to talk about, I pretty much came to the end of everything. So if you got something you want to chime in on, I'll be glad to talk about talk about some bad wings. What are you talking about, Daniel? Yeah, Steve, I can't imagine something like that. A team uprooting and just leaving you high and dry, and then you stuck with nothing pretty much. No NBA team. What? No. Um, yeah, it's kind of tough. Well, fellas and ladies, I'm going to end this as we always do. Appreciate you guys chiming in. Again, I'm reporting live, representing out of bucsreport.com. Still, I am Buccaneer Blake out of BUCnBLAKE Sports, but I am representing bucsreport.com. You can check me out on there. I actually got an article I got to write up. And we end this as we always do. You're the master of everything. What you do with your life, what you do with it is entirely up to you. Thank you, everybody. God bless, and fire those cannons.